So this video is going to have a discussion on how we can get our hands on more chain guns. So I've got two boxes of Havocs in front of me, one here and one here. And each of them has one chain gun inside. I've got a few of them built already, but I haven't painted them. So a bunch of the sprues are missing, but we didn't touch the chain gun here, which is the object of our desire, so to speak. So this rotary chain gun here, we have two of them. We have one in this package, and then we have one in this other package here. So we do have two now, but I want a squad of 4. So we have to figure out how to make more of these. Now my first thought was to use the auto guns on the Mauler Fiend. I said that would be the right image, but as you can see, these things are way too big for what we need here. Not even close. Now my other thought was the Obliterators. As you can see here, here's one we did earlier. His rotary cannon on the top pretty closely matches what we're looking for. But these guys are going for about 25 bucks each now on eBay. So that's not super practical to get more rotary cannons that way. So effectively, I think what we're going to have to do is we're going to have to duplicate this rotary cannon about 2 times. So we want to duplicate just the minimum amount that we need. So we're only really going to duplicate the barrel and the front face because we have these heavy bolters here. And we can use that heavy bolter body with that barrel, and that can get us a rotary cannon there as well. There's one in each Havoc kit as well. There's also one in each Chaos Space Marine kit right here. So I happen to have the Chaos Space Marine guy, and I happen to have the Havoc guy. The arms aren't glued together yet because there's a little bit more tinkering we're going to do here. But both weapons are pretty close to what we want. We just have to find a way to swap the barrel for a chain gun. So, let's do that. So there's a product called Oyumaru. And it's a Japanese product. I imported from there. And I got a bunch of it last year. So what effectively it is, I'll add an image of the box so you know what it looks like. And you can find that on Amazon or eBay or one of those places. I don't have the box anymore. I just have the material that was in it. But effectively what it is a mold material It's a mold material that allows you to duplicate or to create a mold of something, and then it holds its shape. You can remelt it each time. So it's a reusable mold, which is really great. What this appears to be here is Demon Prince wings, and it looks like I've got an in and outside or surface. And then you fill it with material, bunch that together, and it seals, and it hardens, and then you've got the mold that you want to create the item you need. So what we're going to do is heat this stuff up, melt it down, and then try to create a mold of our rotary cannon sprue as best we can, and see if we can create something that is workable with the heavy bolters. So we'll do that now. I find chopping into smaller pieces is a great way to help it dissolve a little bit faster. So we're just going to use our scalpel to chop this up. We're not going to... And that's the sound of water boiling. So we'll be back in a moment to start melting this down. So we just added the boiling water to it. So we want it to sink and immerse. We want it to sink and immerse till it gets soft. So we're just going to hold it down with something. So you can see how pliable it's gotten. And we're going to start taking off a piece here. Let's put that over there for a minute. And let's take our chain cannon, rotary cannon. The barrel is all we're looking for. We want to make sure we fill in as much as we can on the detail. It is pretty soft, so it should fill in most of the grooves. Thicken it up as well so it's not as bendable, because we don't want a warped cannon. So we'll leave that there to cool. And then when that solidifies, we're going to do the top half. Second piece we're going to duplicate for dealing with these Havocs and making extra Havocs are these power packs here. They are needed for each of the backpacks, which is very frustrating. So we're just going to mold ourselves one of those, or a couple of those, or create a mold for those anyway. Something like that there. So we will let that one cool as well, and then we'll do the top half of that. So our first one is now dry, much with the help of throwing it in the fridge. And as you can see, it's pretty solid. So now we're going to take the second half. And we're going to lay it right over that, pushing it as best we can to get into all of the grooves. The only other thing we have to be able to make sure is that we can line up the two pieces afterwards. So we need to have a little bit of overhang to know exactly where they go. Or we need to be able to end them at exactly the same spot. So when we take them apart, they're not hard to line up, because the last thing you want is two different sides of your chain cannon not lining up. So we'll leave those cool, and then we'll take them apart. And then we'll have our mold and our inverse mold. Well, our mold is now dry, so what we're going to do is take it apart as best we can without destroying it, and trying to see how it looks inside. So we have the top half of our chain gun here. Not a whole lot of detail there, because most of it is on this piece. So let's free this piece up, and we'll see where we ended up. So what we did was we cut a channel, so when we're going to put the material in here, it'll have a place to escape and it won't ruin the mold. Like that. And our original mold is no worse for wear. But now we have this chain gun extra here. And they line up pretty well. So for this you can use green stuff if you like. I don't particularly like green stuff. I find it takes way too long to set. So I like this Odie Fix-It stick. And what it is two different types of material. You mash them together, same as green stuff, but it hardens in a minute, minute and a half. So you definitely don't have a lot of time to play with it. But if you want results fast, and I find it's a much tougher material than the green stuff is once it's done. So we're going to mix it together. And then we're going to proverbially stuff our mold here. Go a little higher than you need because, well, we can trim it off afterwards. Don't forget the front piece. We need that one for sure, because that's going to clean up our messy front end once it's finished there. And you find your spaces that line up, and you mash them together, creating the mold you want. So we'll let that harden and we'll be right back. This is what it looks like when we pull off the cover. Now that it's hardened a bit, it's still a little bit soft, so it's still bendable. But as you can see, we've got our barrel. We've got our other side. There was an air bubble or something along the lines right here, unfortunately, so we missed a little piece. Hopefully that'll disappear when we paint it. And then all we have to do is trim off these mold lines. I thought we had a pretty good system for draining some of the excess, but looks like I put a bit too much in, which is fine. When I do the next one, I'll use a little bit less. So this is our resulting pieces that we've managed to create. So as you can see here, we've got quite a bit of detail on our pieces. So I've got a few of varying qualities. This one's not the best. This is the one that had that paint chip missing from it. And then this one is somewhat terrible, so it's not the best there either. This one is one of the first ones we did, which isn't so good. This is definitely one of the better ones here, but our best ones I've actually mounted on our unit. So there's an original, and then here is the copy. So all we did was take a heavy boulder, and then using a plastic saw, we just cut off gently right along the lines. So this is a Havoc heavy bolter, so you do have the ammunition belt, which is kind of neat. So it's very similar to the original. And then we just mounted this to that. We also took the original Chaos Space Marine set with its heavy bolter, and we just mounted one to there. And then the little piece that was dangling, the spike, I just reattached it. Same thing with this one, we just reattached the spikes down. So we've got 4 chain guns that are quite doable. Once we paint them, they'll look even better. We have a 5th one because we do have 2 Havoc packs. I just didn't assemble it yet. So that's kind of what we've got for our, and as you can see, we've got the front facing as well, because we did several of these. And then we just attached them on as we needed. These are going to be garbage, but I wanted to show you sort of our progression. The Oaky stick here costs about 10 bucks Canadian, so you can make these all the live long day till you get some good ones and you're still not out more than a couple of dollars, whereas getting new kits are 70 bucks a shot. So this is definitely a cheaper way to get your rotary cannons versus some of the other stuff that's around. So as you can see, that is a sleazy way to get a few more chain guns if you want to play WYSIWYG. The other thing to remember is you have to mount them on 40mm bases, whereas the Chaos Space Marine kit comes with smaller bases than that, so you need to get some separate ones. And number 2, they have these spikes at the bottom, these stabilizing fins. That's to allow them to move and shoot heavy weapons. It's fluff thing, but it's also technically in the codex, so it doesn't hurt to add some here, and I just add some with a little bit of the Oakley stick. Now it looks terrible there, but one of the Chaos Space Marines we did earlier with the rocket launcher, and we did them there as well, and they don't look that bad once they're painted. So I hope this video was helpful. I hope it allowed you to sort of duplicate and create some of the other bits you need You can also do this for other things like las cannons and things like that. Anything that's relatively simple and doesn't have a lot of porous holes in it, you can do. We did it for las cannons on a Hellbrute at one point. We did it for a few other things, missile launchers from way back when, before we had so many of them and all these extra kits. So you can do it to duplicate some bits, heads, and things like that if you need to. Great for making capes. If you see the Emperor's Children video we had, we use this stuff for capes as well. But it is a sleazy way to duplicate bits, especially rare bits where you're kind of looking for them. So that's about all we have for us today. If you found this video helpful, feel free to leave a like or a comment. Please subscribe to the channel and you'll see more of these interesting things we do. We're going to prime these up and paint them in a future video, because with this many rotary cannons, and I want to play them on our board, we're going to need them painted. So we'll see you at the next video. Like I said, subscribe to the channel if you get a chance, and we will see you the next time we get together.